Hey everyone, welcome to the Keeping It Real with Samuel Lyon show, the podcast where we talk about the things people are experiencing but aren't always talking about. Now, I'm going to be your host today for the first pilot episode of the show, and we're going to be taking you on the journey of what the show is going to be about, what we're going to be talking about, and what the essence of the conversations that you will most likely be hearing or tuned into here on Keeping It Real with Samuel Lyon. All right? So, as the name will tell you, I'm not the host. He is the host. But today I want to switch the roles and put him in the chair where he answers the question before he gets the chance to ask the questions. My name is Fortune, and I'm going to be here talking about a very, very interesting topic. But before then, I want to allow the actual host talk a little bit more about how he feels to be here on the pilot episode of Keeping It Real with Samuel Lyon. Samuel, welcome to your own show. How you doing?
I would be lying if I said I'm not the most happiest human being right now because getting to do this right here, right now, feels like felt like a tall tax. But here we are. It's just something about me being the host. Like I appreciate wanting to do that, but let's see how you get this job done today. Because if you do so well, if you don't suck, if you don't get kicked off this episode, you
So,
might just be doing this.
so I feel like this will be the right time to segue into the actual topic that we will be discussing about.
Yeah.
And this one is actually quite a deep conversation that we're going to be having today because it's something that I think everyone who's watching here has experienced at some point. It's something that everyone will experience at some point if they haven't experienced it because it's one of the most constant things in our human existence, and it is loss. Yes, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Not just in the sense of losing a loved one, but in the sense of other aspects of loss, personal loss, maybe losing a job, maybe losing, a partner, a love interest, or something. Or, in other words, losing your focus, right? Losing your understanding of where you need to be, something a lot of young people experience. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to be focusing this conversation on Samuel Lyon, of course, to tell us his experience of loss and how he has dealt with it up to this point where he is sat next to me and, what his message to a lot of people who might be going through the same struggle or might eventually have to go through the same struggles need to talk about. All right. So he has threatened that I might lose this position as the interviewer. So that's the only reason why I want us to address this. All right. So he is going to teach me how to deal with loss if I actually lose the position of being the host of the Samuel Keeping It Real with Samuel Lyon show. So Samuel Lyon, welcome again to your own show.
Great.
So we're going to dive into the topic, right? Straight right into it without any holds barred.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear the word loss, what comes to mind for you particularly, and in terms of your own personal experience with loss? What is the first thing that comes to mind?
To not really drive this conversation way into the deep end, I would really come up to say to me when I hear anything loss is the first thing that comes to mind is you dealing with something that everybody knows would eventually happen, but how you deal with it. So it's more of what have you lost and how did it impact you. I'm always more interested in like the percentage whatever happened has taken away from you. So to me, when I hear about loss, the first thing is always empathy towards the person, right? At the very first thing is empathy, like, oh shit, like I wonder what that happened to them. Because to me, loss feels like one of like the most constant thing that we get to experience. Like you can never run away from it. It will always be there. So yeah, me when I hear loss, the very first thing that jumps into my mind is like, oh, how many percentage was taken away from you? Because damn sure it will take a whole lot from you, if not all of you.
All right, that's really nice. So I want to ask you this question. Let's talk about something that directly connects to a lot of people's experiences. I
Okay.
want to talk about personal loss in your life, right? How you dealt with the experience of personal loss, whether it's emotionally, physically, or financial. Now, these are three different aspects of your own experience in life, and I feel like you have a genuine story to tell, because somehow I feel like you have had these three experiences and shed a bit more light on the first aspect of loss, right? In the sense of your own personal loss, losing someone close to you. Let's talk about that.
Uh, it's one of those ones where I have a personality that everyone, I talk a lot. I'm a very in your face personality. So it's very easy to always say, it's as if I don't have feelings, right? Or things don't get to me because I get to show up. I get to show up and I'm always in your face. I'm always talking to like this one, don't even know how to like, it's as if everybody feel I don't know how to process. But in terms of personal loss, the greatest loss that would ever happen to anyone happened to me almost 7 years ago. That was the loss of my mom. And it's funny how you no nobody can ever prepare for a loss of a mother, no matter. Now, backstory. There's at the time I was staying with my namesake, so they attended a funeral, and they were the one as they are pastors, they are still pastors, and they officiated their funeral. And the woman in question was over 100 and something years old. The children has grandchildren, the grandchildren has great grandchildren. Now this was a big funeral. But what the story they came down, all of that is a story on its own. It's something that you can look up. What everybody came back from that was like everybody in that funeral was crying at a point that they got my like if I don't want to make the woman die, like how old was it? Like is it the children were crying, the grandchildren were crying, and at that time you would not understand. It means I was like cry, okay? How? Nigerians used to make a proverb say burial rice is sweet until they cook am for your compound. Me till I was now like I beg of people everybody's talking about where the food will make up from this event. Now it's now what up. Now it took me years for me to lose my mom. To understand like there was no like it's as if instantly that story, that experience came right to my mind. I'm like, oh I see. Because everybody was crying. Even people that you would not feel like would feel that people that they've never showed emotions showed it all through that period. And the loss of my mom is one of those losses that I've never prepared for it. I feel one of the greatest advice I got the very day my mom passed, and that was given to me by a neighbor who has been a family friend all of those years, Uncle Emmanuel. He said something to me because the very night we lost my mom, I came back from the hospital and I just on one of the enlargement pictures. I'm like, really? So this will just be the only memory we have. And I remember holding on to that and sleeping off with that on the chair. And he came in and tried moving. So immediately tried moving. I grabbed it. He was like, no, 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 leave it. And I was about crying. He was like, hey, you better hold on to that because this will not be the one day cry, right? It's you would always have this, which you would always be crying. So don't cry yourself to death because this cry, maybe
It's
today
going
go
to be
finish.
a marathon.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, at that time I was like, how would he say that to me? And it took me to have some milestones in life and then turn back to oh I should call my mom. Like, oh shit. The first thing that comes to my Uncle Emma, he said it. Now activated, cry. When I matriculated, I still have pictures which I'm very sure I will make that come up on this video. You could see the cameraman kept to take me pictures. My eyes were as red as I was, not because I had lack of sleep. I was literally crying in the matrigram like, oh shit, people's moms are here, people's parents are here, like mine is no way. Like it's so many situations in life that I've had to like, mourn that loss. I've never stopped crying because it is every single situation. So the loss of my mom is one of that one that gets to me personally. Nothing more personal than that.
Quite interesting revelation that you've just shared with us. And the whole reason for this conversation, if you follow the name, is keeping it real. And that's the reason why we're having this conversation, because I feel like a lot of times these are things that people know about, but there's a taboo to talk about these things. right?
Yes. Yes.
Especially if you have friends who've lost loved ones, talking about these things because people process grief in different ways. People process loss in different ways. And everyone always has different coping mechanisms. Like you have this very boisterous spirit. You're very out there, very, very open with
Yeah.
people, very extroverted in the way you relate with people. That a lot of people might just not actually think that this person has had experienced such a tremendous loss of your mother,
Yeah.
which to me, I feel like, I mean, no partials to dads, but mothers are central to the stories of their children
Hmm.
because they have a much more unbreakable bond
Yeah.
from the umbilical cord, right?
Yes.
So that loss can be physical as well as emotional.
Yes.
But what I want you to talk about is how that loss has shaped you, your personality, and your outlook on life. And you reference Uncle Imal, the message that he has told you, which every time you you re experience that sense of loss, you think of what he says and it sort of helps you stand. Tell me how your personal loss of your mom has shaped you. Let's talk about that, Samuel.
There, you asked this, and
It's understandable.
it's in a way where you, just like I said, you can never prepare for for that ever. And it brings me to one of the sermon I listened this year, this November, and it was by Pastor Keon Anderson, the pastor of Lighthouse Church in Houston, Texas. He's on the topic "I Will Survive," and he did talk about mindfulness is the best way to go through struggle without overwhelming yourself. And I'm like, mindfulness. Talking to you right now, I want to, and talking about like how it has impacted or how it has shaped me going forward. Getting here literally without that person was still is the toughest thing I have ever had to deal with, because there are times where I I feel like I can't function. I've had to go through fights with my siblings because I still have remnants of this still troubling issues.
The post
It,
traumatic
it
stress.
is. It is. Because it feels like, I know for sure, if I'm having having, since this is impacting me this way, I feel it to be the same way for them. It might be different. So it has affected the family structure as a whole. The sibling to sibling relationship has been affected a whole lot. We might not want to talk about it. With my dad, greatly. Like, it's so funny how when this person was alive, there were issues, and even after they are still not here. There's still some issues, like, are we fighting over someone that is dead? Like, crazy thing, this year I turned 26 a couple of weeks ago, and I shared a story about my mom, and this still on impact. Now, this was me not trying to paint my mom in a bad light, but it was me trying to bring to life a situation that is real. Talk about keeping it real, right?
That's the whole idea of this conversation, isn't it?
My mom, like, I don't have physical copies of my mom attending my key event or key program. I'm like, oh, my mom was there, but she always sent a representative because she know for sure that there's a chance that I might not be present, but I want him to feel that I'm always there. So if I see my brother coming for one of my result taking day, I know for sure that that's my mom. If I see my sister coming for the entire sport, that's my mom. So because you know for sure she will make that arrangement. And for one of the ones she showed up late, and that was my entire spot. The picture, I'm gonna make sure shows up, and you could see me in that picture. I was frowning my face up because I'm like, you missed my combi dance. You'd be like, what's a combi dance? The if a dance. You missed my match pass that I was I think I was in front. You missed. I mean, sack race. If I did sack race, but I know like she missed
You
all
missed
of
the
that.
key part of what the whole
And you
inter-house
showed up when
was.
everybody, like everything was almost, if not done. And obviously, oh, let's take pictures. And you took us. And as a kid, I remember that. I can't remember now because like it's so.
It was such a core memory for you.
Oh, and I'm like, I don't even want to wait. And I watch it, and I took that picture. I'm grateful that that picture was taken because I remember that. And maybe if I would have talked about it, someone would be like, oh, what is it saying? If there's a pictograph, this time like you could see it. And I put that picture out there this year, talked about it, and you would think. And the way I went about it was how I felt at that moment. So I went back to the Samuel Lion of that present at that time, back to the past. How did it feel at that time? This was how it felt. And I brought it back here. And I'm like, I'm grateful that even if she was late, she showed up. And I'm like, that has been one of the things that personally for me, the loss really impacted me because I'm like, this was one person that always showed up, even in form of other people, but made sure that you would see her in everything you do, even reaching out to you, which I'll push back. But I wanted to like round off on that particular stuff where my siblings came at me. Sorry, they will get to say this. They came at me so fucking hard. Like, how dare you paint mom in the bad light? How dare you say that?
Now, this conversation you're talking about was something that happened in their presence, or somehow they heard about it.
Something.
Because we're talking about coping mechanisms,
Yes.
right? Was you bringing to the surface the experience that you had with your mom, the times where you were not in the best of terms with her,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Was you bringing that out a coping mechanism for you?
I believe yes, because you'll be shocked. Spotify has it already because on Spotify they gave the Wrapped is out for the year, and they told me how I spent my like what I listened on my birthday.
2025.
You would see that literally, oh, he was messed up that very day, right? And I'm gonna put that up on this video to you, and I'm like, why are we focused on like how I painted mom in the write up, and you're not. I'm here. I'm the one going through it. I'm the one that's impacted by this. I'm the one missing my mom right now. I'm the mom. I'm the one putting my mom out there as kind of like it was more of like a thank you. How am I feeling? How did I feel at that time? How do I want to feel going forward? And everybody is jumping to how you painted it. Why should we even put it out there?
So the painting that you actually put out there, was this in a public event? Was it at a funeral? At a at a eulogy or something? When was that time where you got the opportunity to say these things before you got backlash from your sibling?
Literally, it was a post on Facebook. It was a post on Facebook.
So you put that post up eventually?
The post is still up. But what happened now is I was told to go edit. Go edit this one out. Go take that one out. No, because I put my
sense of trying to keep your grief.
You know that was, I feel that was one of the painful acts. I'm like,
you're trying to sanitize your grief, right?
That was your mom. That's your mom. It's mine too.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the way we relate with. I'm giving you my own essence. You are telling me that it was crazy, and I'm like, so this is why sometimes grief is hard. Yeah, in this side of town, because you'll be like, everybody wants you to grieve different. Nobody should cry on that burial day. Everybody.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I could say, I think I got a little sense of what you're talking about, because I think it was in October where I attended the funeral of a close family friend, and me personally, I would say I don't know how to deal with grief. I've never had the experience, and I hope that I do not get to have the experience, which of course is impossible because everyone will go at some point.
Yeah.
But let's talk about how you think young people can prepare for that moment, because you have experienced that moment. You didn't prepare for it. You didn't ask for it.
No.
You didn't expect it, just like you said, but it still came.
Yes.
Which of course it's going to come for a lot of people, a lot of young people like you listening to this conversation right now. So I need you to walk us through what your message to young people in terms of dealing with grief is, how they should deal with it when it eventually comes, and most especially how they should prepare and how they should move on after it happens, based on your experience, of course.
As a young person,
Hey, in case you're wondering, what just happened? Did the episode just cut off? Please, please, please stay on yeah with us. So we've realized that a whole lot of you that watch our videos have not subscribed. Please like, share, subscribe, and don't keep your notification button on so that when the next episode drops, this conversation will continue. I will get to answer the question. And if you're wondering, oh, did I just cut off there? We apologize. We'll get it on you for the next episode. Please stay on the series with us. Shout out to BISONG and Asirman Samuel Lion.